previously you have gone through the microprocessor, that is 8085. Okay, so in 8085 you were having some instructions, its operation, different functions of 8085 you have gone through. So now we are going to study 8086. So in 8086, basically, why we are switching from 8085 to 8086? So there are some advantages and disadvantages of each and every electronic device or microprocessor, basically here we are talking about. So in case of 8085, there are some limitations to 8085. So to remove those limitations of 8085, a new processor uh, launched by Intel in 1976, it was 8086. So what is the advantage of 8086 with respect to 8085? We will see that. So basically how the performance of any processor is you can say observed. The performance, if we are talking about the performance of any microprocessor, so this performance is always in terms of what is the word size of the microprocessor. That means on how many bits it is going to operate, or on how many bits its processing will be there. Processing means basically instruction processing. So any microprocessor is there that will be performing its operations based on the instructions that the user has given to the microprocessor. So if the instruction is of 8-bit, okay, that means it will be containing less number of data, or you can say with respect to higher number of bits, like 16-bit instruction is there. That means if 8-bit instruction is there, there will be a limitation, like it can have maximum 2 to the power 8 instructions basically. Okay, if any microprocessor is there, if it is having 16-bit data bus, it can process at a time 2 to the power 16-bit data, and maximum instruction that is possible is 2 to the power 16. Okay, so the functionality in case of 16-bit has increased. Okay, so functionality point of view, the 8085 that is having a smaller word size, that can be of less you can say functionality with respect to a higher bit of microprocessor. Okay, so the performance, basically microprocessor is observed by word size, word length, that will be like data size, data bits available. The next one is cost. Also the cost is important for performance. If it is cost effective, it will be better. Okay. Similarly, the physical size also. So physical size of a microprocessor, nowadays the devices that we are using is shrinking day by day. So that is possible because of the shrinking size of the microprocessor, or the technology that we are using to fabricate a microprocessor is reducing day by day. So we are able to accommodate more functionality even on a smaller device size. Okay, so the physical device size or the microprocessor size is also one of the performance parameter. The most important performance parameter is speed. So speed is basically observed in terms of uh, millions of instructions processed per second, or basically we call it millions instructions per second, MIPS. So this millions instructions per second is basically given by throughput. In terms of microprocessor, its performance is one of the parameter of checking the performance is what is the throughput of the microprocessor, like how many instructions it can perform. It can perform per second. Okay, so basically it is instructions per second. Instead of saying instructions per second, we say is million instructions per second, because its speed is always in terms of gigahertz. Okay, so microprocessor is having a speed in terms of gigahertz, so we say it like millions instructions per second. How many millions instructions per second it can perform, it can handle, that is throughput. It is decided, it will be the deciding factor for the speed of a microprocessor. Okay, and also the instruction set. So instruction set means if a microprocessor is having only suppose 5 instructions, and a microprocessor is having 50 instructions. So it is obvious, like if any microprocessor is having 50 instructions, it can handle each and every condition, or you can say mathematical expression or any logical and mathematical operations easily, because it is having 50 instructions. Instead, one is having only 5, so it has to compromise with limited functionality. So instruction set, how rich instruction set is there, that will be one of the deciding factor for the performance of a microprocessor. Okay, and one more parameter is like address, or you call it addressable memory range. Okay, so if any microprocessor is having, if it can handle only limited number of memory, and one is having that can handle large number of addresses, okay, memory space. Okay, so there will be definitely advantage of a microprocessor that can handle or that can address large memory spaces. Okay, so if it is having large memory space available, then it can have large number of instructions, large number of data processing it can perform, and if it is having large number of spaces, it can have better speed also, because it can, the data available to the processor will be more. Okay, so the how much the addressable memory range is there to a microprocessor, that will be one of the performance parameters. So these are the different performance parameters. So with respect to these parameters, we can see, like if we want to improve the performance of any microprocessor, what we need to do is we should be having higher word size. Okay, so the word size of the microprocessor should be high. So this we can increase, this should be reduced. Okay, the physical size should be reduced. Okay, and also the speed, in case of speed should be high. So large number of instructions should be there to have multi functionality, or you can say large number of functions can be performed if it is having larger instruction set, and also it should be having larger memory addressable space. Okay, so these are the different points we should be considering while designing another better microprocessor. Okay, so in terms of 8085 and now in terms of 8086, we will be able to check like what modifications we need to perform to 8085, so that a new 8086 can have a better performance with respect to 8086 8085. Okay, so now we will see features and properties of 8086 microprocessor basically. So in case of 8086, so this 8086 microprocessor is an enhanced version of 8085. Okay, So 8086 is the enhanced version of 8085 microprocessor, and it was basically this 8085 and 8086. These are the processors designed by Intel. Okay, so this 8086 was designed in 1976. Okay, so this 8086 is having 16 bit of microprocessor data bus. So data bus in case of 8086 is of 16 bit, but in case of 8085 it was of 8 bit only. So if it is of 16 bit data bus is there, so word size we basically called it data bus size. So your data bus size in case of 8086 is of 16 bit. So if it is of 16 bit, that means 8086 can handle a data that is of 16 bit. That means it can handle large amount of data at a single time. At the same time, the 8086 can handle 16 bit of data. Okay, and also 8086 is having 20 address lines. So in case of 8086 it is 20 address lines. So if it is 20 address lines means if there are 20 address lines, that is it can handle 2 to the power 20. That means around 1024 megabyte, sorry, 1024 kilobyte, or we call it 1 megabyte of memory space. Okay, so this 8086 can handle up to 1 megabyte of storage, but in case of 8086 8085 is having only 16 bit of data. Okay, so data bus is of 16 bit in case of 8085, but in case of 8086 it is of 20 address lines are there. That means it can handle 1 MB of storage. Okay, also 8086 consists of powerful instruction set. Okay, so in this powerful instruction set, it is having some instructions for multiplication and division also. Okay, but in case of 8085 there were no instruction to perform directly multiplication and division, but in case of 8086 we have a direct instructions to operate multiplication and division. So as previously we have seen, in case of higher performance, the performance is basically decided by the instruction sets. So these instruction sets, in case of uh, higher instruction sets are available, then we can have more functionality. So similar like 8085, it was having less number of instructions, so it were not having a space for multiplication and division functionality. But as 8086 is having higher number of instructions, then it can handle more number of functionality. So here the new functionality that has been added is multiplication and division. Okay. In 8086 it supports two mode of operation. So two mode of operation means here generally 8085 operates like it can operate single-handedly. It cannot connect to 8085 at the same time. But in case of 8086 is like it can operate single-handedly, and also it can attach two 8086 processors or more than one microprocessor, this microprocessor 8086 microprocessor at the same time, and two microprocessors can be operating at the same time. This functionality has been added in 8086. So this is supporting two modes. One is maximum mode, another is minimum mode. So in maximum mode, so it is maximum means it will be operating in multi-processor mode. Okay, and in case of minimum mode, it will be operating like only a single 8086 microprocessor is operating. Okay, so single processor will be in case of minimum mode, and in maximum mode it will be having multiple processors at the same time, operating at the same time. Okay. Also in case of 8086 it is having an instruction queue. So this is one of the important point of 8086. So in case of 8086, there is instruction queue. So instruction queue is like, it is like an memory or memory register that is having 6 registers. Okay, so these 6 registers, will be having, like whenever we are going to operate, the microprocessor is going to execute an instruction. So whenever suppose a code is written like this, okay, so this code, this instruction should be executed first. After that, this and this and this. Similar is the process. But in case of 8086, there is an instruction queue is there. Okay, so this instruction queue, basically what it does is, suppose 6 instructions are there, or total suppose 10 instructions are there. Okay, so in case of 8086, if there are 10 instructions are there, okay, so once the execution of instructions is going to be started, these starting 6 instructions will come into this queue. Okay, so one by one it will be placed into the queue, and this queue will be operating like the first instruction is there, then first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So this instruction will be executed, and once it is executed, the next instruction will be executed. While this is executed, this will be placed here, and one space will be created. So the next instruction into the program, that will be copied to the this location. So it is having like, instead of waiting for instruction, it pre-fetch the instructions, like instruction decoding or instruction execution is performed by, like, first one is fetch, instruction is fetched and then decoded and then execution. Okay, so execution basically is done, fetching of the instruction, then decoded, and then operation is performed. Operation, whatever operation is there, that will be performed. So the fetching, there is a time always, 1t. Okay, 1t cycle we have seen, like 1t is one machine cycle is used for fetching the instruction, one is decoding, then executing. Okay, so this fetching the instruction will be having a machine cycle. So this machine cycle can be reduced, like once the instruction is being fetched and decoded, at the same time the another next instruction will be fetched, and that will be stored into the queue. Okay, so here in case of 8086, it supports instruction queue, and that is of a size 6 instructions byte. It can store 6 instruction. So it is of 6 byte queue is there, instruction queue is there, that supports basically the pipelining. So in case of 8086, it supports pipelining. Okay, that means once the first instruction is being executed, at the same time 5 other instructions have already been fetched. So fetching time of next instructions is being reduced. Okay, so like this, it supports the pipelining functionality. So it is one of the advantage of 8086. So if it is supports pipelining, that means its speed will be high. Okay, because it is supporting the pipelining. Okay, so the next point is, like, if it is 20-bit address is there, so total possible address locations will be 2 to the power 20. So this much of address locations will be there, and one address location is storing 1 byte of data, so total 1 MB of data. storage can be possible in case of 8086. Also, this memory space of 8086 is divided into different segments, different banks. So okay, so that we will see into the memory segment part. Okay, and also this 8086 has different versions. Okay, so this in 8086 it can have different operating frequencies, like it can operate in 5 megahertz or 8 megahertz or 10 megahertz. So there are three different versions of 8086 is there for different operating frequencies. Okay, and one thing you can note, in 8086 there is no internal clock. No internal clock is there. So clock is basically provided in 8086 by external source. Okay, so there is no internal clock. Clock is provided by external source. Okay, the next point, it uses two stages of pipelining, the fetch stage and execution stage. And also the pipelining, because it supports pipelining, its architecture that we will be seeing next, that is divided into two parts. The architecture of 8086 is divided into two parts basically. Okay, so one part is called like for controlling, another one is for execution. Okay, so this is divided into two parts. The first one is uh, for fetching, like instructions should be fetched. So into that, this is one is bus interface unit. First one is called bus interface unit. Another one is called execution unit. Okay, so the architecture of this 8086 is divided into two parts. One is bus interface unit, another one is called execution unit. Okay, so this is like first fetch stage and execution stage. So each of the instruction is fetched at the same time the another instruction is being executed. So they support pipelining by having two stages of its architecture. There are two stages, and also this instruction queue supports pipelining. Okay, so these are the different advantages and features of 8086 with respect to 8085. Next we will see what are the differences. So to summarize the points of previous slide, we can have a summary table like the difference between 8085 and 8086. So here in case of 8085, it is an 8-bit microprocessor, but 8086 is 16-bit microprocessor. It has, as any processor is there, it is named like 8-bit processor. So this 8-bit always says like it will be operating on 8-bit data, or we call it data bus will be having a size of 8-bit, or we call it the instructions that it will be executing. The instructions will always be operating on an 8-bit of data size. Okay, so if it is 8-bit microprocessor, 8-bit of data bus will be there. Similarly, in case of a 16-bit microprocessor, 16-bit of data bus will be there. It has a 16-bit of address lines, 8085. Here 8086 has 20-bit of address lines. Okay, so if it is 16-bit of address lines, it can have maximum space for a memory of 64 KB. That will be equivalent to root to the power 16. Okay, so in case of 8086, 1 MB of memory space will be there. That is given by 2 to the power 20. In case of flag, status flag we have seen in 8085 of 8-bit, but it is having 5 flags basically: carry flag, parity, sign, 0, and auxiliary flag. But in case of 8086, as it is having a higher functionality and it is having more robust instruction sets, so there are a requirement for more number of status bits. Okay, so here total 9 status bits are there, and this flag of 8086 basically of 16 bit. So this is of 16 bit flag is there. In case of 8085 it is of 8 bit. Okay, flag register is there. 8085 is an accumulator based processor. So in 8085 most of the instructions that are executed is having a destination into the accumulator itself. Okay, so accumulator oriented instructions are there basically in case of 8085, but in case of 8086 the processor is based on general purpose registers. Okay, so whatever general purpose registers are there, that we will see into the later slides. Okay, so this general purpose register based processor is there, so it is not stick to only the accumulator. It can have any other instructions registers also, that is general purpose registers, where this storing data can be performed. The instructions can be performed with respect to the other general purpose registers also. There is no minimum and maximum mode in case of 8085, but 8086 supports minimum and maximum mode. So here no pipelining is there, the pipelining is there, and also the memory segmentation is not there. Okay, so there is no memory segmentation, but here in case of 8086 memory segmentation is there. At the last we can see in case of 8085 it is having 6500 transistors into 8085 microprocessor, but in case of 8086 microprocessor there are 29,000 transistors are available. Okay, so these are the basic difference between 8085 and 8086. Up to here, if anyone is having any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we will be proceeding to the next. So the next is a pin diagram. Okay, so this is the pin diagram of 8086. So here it is of 40 pin IC similar. Okay, so 40. So into that, if you have gone through the 8085, the similar description will be there. Some of the functionality has been changed in 8086. So as 8086 is having 16 bit of data, that means this 16 bit of data is represented by AD0 to AD15. So AD0 pin number up to 14 it is 2 pin number, and then 15 this is your 15. Okay, so from here to from 2 to 16 pin number and 39 pin number, these are able to address this data lines basically. Okay, so AD0 to AD15, so these are data bus. Okay, so this data bus addresses are there, pins are there. It is of bidirectional nature. Okay, so it's bidirectional, and also because it is an address and data also, so data can be coming out and going inward. Okay, so this is bidirectional, and it is multiplexed also. So it is multiplexed also. So here from AD0 to AD15 is bidirectional and multiplexed pins. Okay, so here it is multiplexed means it is working as address and data lines also. Okay, so if it is working as address lines, okay, so this if it is working as address lines, these pins will be represented by A, symbol A. Okay, so it will be like from A0 to A15. Okay, so if it is working as data lines, it will be working like D0 to D7, then D8 to D15, or we call it D0 to D15. So in case of data lines, it is written like D0 to D7, that is of 8 bit, and this D8 to D15, that is 8 bit. or it is written like D0 to D15, that is 16 bit. So in case of 8086, it is of 16 bit microprocessor. It doesn't mean like it will always be operating in on 16 bit data only. Okay, so this is of 16 bit microprocessor, but it can operate either on 8 bit instruction also, or it can operate on 16 bit instruction also. So it has a dual functionality, like each instruction can have 8-bit type of operation, or it can have 16-bit type of operation also. Okay, so if it is operating in 16-bit data type, it will be combinedly using D0 to D15. If it is operating on 8-bit data, so this D0 to D7 will be lower data byte, and this will be higher data byte. Okay, but in case of address line, because it is multiplexed, so at a time it will be working as either a data bus or an address bus. So here, if it is working as address bus, it will be combinedly saying A0 to A15. That will be considered as the lower order address bus. Okay, so this will be called lower order address bus. So like it is having 16 bit plus 4, that is total 20 bit address lines are there in case of 8086. So 15 0 to 15, that means total 16 bit is available multiplex data lines and address lines. The remaining 4 will be A16, A17, A18 and A19. These are also a multiplexed signals, multiplexed with status signal. So status basically indicate like in what mode the microprocessor is working. So this is a multiplexed signal with the status signals, basically this address lines. So these address lines ranging from A16, A17, A18 and A19 are basically called high order address lines or high order address bus. Okay, so it is having multiplexed address and data bus. So lower order address bus is multiplexed with basically the data bus. So higher order address bus is multiplexed with the status signals. Okay, that is you can keep in mind. Okay, the next one is BHE pin. So this is the BHE pin. It is multiplexed with S7 bit of the status bit. So this BHE is for bus high enable. So bus high enable is basically going to indicate like which one is active, whether it is working as address lines or bus lines. Okay, so here this pin bus high enable is basically used to enable data onto the most significant half of the bus. That means D8 to D15. That means this data lines is of two different orders, like if it is lower order and higher order in case of data line. Okay, so if 8-bit device connected to upper half of the data bus use BHE active low signal. So if BHE is active low, okay, so if BHE is active low, that means it is 0. In that case, it will be considered like D8 to D15 is the data line connected to the device. Okay, so if it is having if BHE is active low, then at that time it will be connected. This device, a particular device, is basically connected to a higher data bus basically. So data bus is of lower data bus from 0 to D0 to D7 and higher data bus from D8 to D15. So if BHE is actually low, at that time we will be saying like D8 to D15 is basically working as the data bus. Okay, and this data bus is connected to or are you being used to communicate from any external source or from any channel. It is being connected. Okay, so it is like this PHE says like which one is operating in this higher or lower data bus is operating into the uh, uh, any device or connected to any device, or it is taking part in data transfer to any of the external source. Okay, it is multiplexed with status signal S7. So S7 is one of the status signal. So there are different status signals. So S7 is the status signal that is multiplexed with BHE. So that means whenever BHE is working, then S7 will be disabled. If S7 is being working, BHE, there will be no role of BHE. Okay. These are the next pins. So here minimum mode and maximum mode we have already seen. So the minimum mode and maximum mode pin is given by pin number 33. So as the pin says, if MN oblique MX bar, this pin is 1, that means it will be operating in minimum mode, and if it is 0 it will be operating in maximum mode. Okay, so what is minimum mode and maximum mode? So in minimum mode, single processor will be connected, only single processor will be operating. In maximum mode, multiple processors will be there. Okay, so here a read signal is there. So if the read read bar is output signal. So the signal is used to read operation and active when low. So it is basically read is used to, it is an output signal. It reads the data from the output. Okay, so if it is going to give the output as low, that means the microprocessor is in mode of reading the data. Okay, so it is an output signal. So INTR, interrupt request, is there. Okay, so it is an input signal. So this interrupt signal INTR, if any signal it is active low, sorry, it is active high signal is there, pin is there. If one is given to this pin number 18, that means the microprocessor 8086 will be working like it has been interrupted by an external source. Okay, so if INTR is 1, that means some external device is requesting for an interrupt. Okay, or it is saying like there is an interrupt and the microprocessor should be handling the interrupt with respect to their mechanism, whatever mechanism of interrupt handling is there, that will be the microprocessor will be dealing with respect to the interrupt that is available. Okay, this is the clock. So this clock is the input. So this is clock is input signal. So there will be a clock given to the microprocessor 8086 as an input, because this 8086 does not have its clock internally, so it will be requiring some clock from the external device basically. Okay, so the clock input provides the basic timing for processor operation and bus control activity. So whatever bus control activity is there and operations we need to perform, so clock input is given to the microprocessor for the synchronization and different control and operation activities. Okay, it is a clock with 33% duty cycle. So what is duty cycle? So if any clock is there, if it is low and this is high, if this clock is low for 2 unit time period and high for 2 time period, then it will be considered as 50% duty cycle. So it is T on divided by T total. So this is called the duty cycle. If it is 33%, that means that will be 1, 2, 3. We will be dividing it into 3 parts. So for the 2 part active low, for third part only it will be. So now this will be like 2, 4 and 6. So our duty cycle will be given by T on is for 2 time period and total time period is 6. So it will be 1 by 3. So it will be like 33%. Okay. So this type of clock will be there for the clock as 806 clock. Okay. So the next points, the next pins we will be seeing into the next class. Okay. So